Hi, we learned that a group of Republican elected officials in California are using taxpayer dollars to fund resource guides that actively mislead the taxpayer about their options under the Affordable Care Act. They are telling seniors that their care will be rationed when Obamacare straightens Medicare, and telling young people that healthcare is a ripoff when every single one of us knows that no one is invincible. But everything about these stories is all too familiar. After Republicans shut down the government in order to try to block Obamacare, nothing they do surprises me anymore. And that's why, no more than ever, we need to raise our voices together and tell them that they cannot stand in the way of quality, affordable healthcare for everyone. They're going to keep doing this again and again, and the stakes for us could not be higher. Thousands of people will have shopped for coverage by the time you finish listening to my video newsletter. The insurance of the hundred of thousands of other Americans who already signed up will have basically provisions and protections that are already helping them. Provisions like no copay preventative care and allowing young people to stay in their parents' insurance plan, and the ones coming on January 1st, like protections for up to 129 million Americans who are living with a pre existing condition. After spending 4 years telling us that this law would ruin our country forever, Republicans are getting desperate to dismantle this law before Americans everywhere starts to take advantage of its benefits in full. If you need proof, just look at what's going on in California, like I have invoked in the beginning. Here is something that the other side is going to have to come to grips with. Truth is that healthcare reform is working for millions of Americans now to have access to affordable coverage, some for the very first time. It's working also for seniors who are saving hundreds on prescription drugs. I'll be honest with you, I don't understand how some of the folks on the other side can justify what they're doing. They're trying to scare people out of getting coverage by spreading myths and misinformation, and they are spending a fortune to do it. So, whether it's being able to actually see a doctor when you need to, or having a plan to make sure that if you get sick, you don't also go bankrupt, having health insurance changes people's lives. That's why so many people fought for decades to make healthcare reform a reality. On the second topic of my newsletter today, I will speak about climate change. First thing I want to invoke is the fact that we have to remind that climate science shows that carbon pollution is the biggest contributor to this climate change. But now, thanks to the new information to the White House Office of Management and Budget, we even have better data than ever on how much each ton of carbon emission is costing us. These new numbers on the social cost of carbon are thorough and well researched and sound, but climate change deniers in Congress and their allies in the polluter lobby are trying to bury them. So don't let the denier go unanswered. You have to add your support to face the facts on carbon pollution. This involves the future not only of the United States, but of all mankind. Climate change deniers will have us believe that the jury is still out on the science of climate change. That couldn't be further from the truth. 97% of climate change scientists agree that climate change is man-made and real. Science says so. So the impacts from climate change already include increased drought and floods, just to let you know, longer wildfire seasons, and we'll see decreased food production and growth in respiratory illnesses. This is a serious business. Just last week, we found out basically that a dozen of the biggest companies in the world, including big oil companies, are already estimating the cost of carbon to their businesses, showing just how out of touch these climate change deniers are. So, within these real problems, they will be affecting Americans and citizens of the world every year, worse and worse. We have to stand up, therefore, against climate change deniers and say to them that it's time to face up the very real cost of carbon pollution. Thank you for listening.